who knows some words from Spanish? I need more hands. I'm pretty sure almost all of you know the word jalapeno, right? Yeah? Okay. Any other Spanish words? Think about it. You live in Houston. Spanish words. I need ideas for the back of the room. No? Yes, go ahead.
Chinchilla?
Chinchilla. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
Tortilla.
Tortilla. Yeah. Anything else? Yes.
El Paso.
El Paso. Great. What does that mean?
The pass.
The Pass. Good. Why?
Yeah, since there's Mexican explorers.
Yes, explorers, and most importantly, mountains. So between mountains, you have a pass. Yeah.
El Dorado.
El Dorado. Yes. The city of gold. Okay. Yeah.
Amarillo.
Amarillo. Armadillo and Amarillo, both are. That's good. One is yellow, one is not yellow. It's like gray. Okay. So I think we can go ahead and get started by now, right? That's good. All right. So Spanish, Italian, and Portuguese. What about Italian and Portuguese? Someone give me words. Yeah. Pizzicato. Yes. What does that mean?
It's like the violin is bumping
Yes. So instead of bowing the violin when you're plucking the strings. Yeah. Paparazzi. The people that follow you around with cameras. Yes. Pizza. Yes. Pizza is Italian. Pizza is also great. Yeah.
Ravioli.
Ravioli. Yeah. Pasta. Yes. A whole bunch of pasta words that come from Italian. And finally, Portuguese. Yeah? Caixinha. Yes, good. I forgot to. Let's check. Caixinha. I don't think most of us have heard that word before, so I'll put it on the board. Caixinha means a box rattle used in Brazilian dance orchestras. Can you see that? That's a pretty tricky word, right? Yeah. Right. So we'll get to that eventually. Portuguese, another thing. Now, before I start, I just want to mention that usually we're good and done before an hour, but today we're going to do 3 languages instead of 1. So I'll keep going at a good pace, and I might take a couple more minutes than usual. So let's get started. Spanish, Italian, Portuguese, right? Who remembers what the languages are called that came from Latin? Romance languages, good. So, Spanish, Italian, and Portuguese, that's why they're together, are because they're all Romance languages. And you can find a lot of similarities between these languages. So, going back to the picture of the language branches, you see over here, you have Spanish in red, then Italian, and Portuguese. Those are all descendants of Latin, and like I said, they have similarities. So, what is Mr. in Spanish? Señor, yes. Let us put that on the board. Señor. Would someone like to take a guess what Mr. is in Portuguese? Yeah? Señor. So, this is Spanish. Let's put that here. Spanish. In Portuguese, it's also Señor, but with a caveat. Señor in Portuguese is spelled S-E-N-H-O-R instead of the N with the tilde. And then in Italian, what is Mr.? I need guesses. Signor. But there's another problem. S-I-G-N-I-O-R. Spanish, Portuguese, Italian. Signor. 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 Someone tell me the letter combinations that you see here. Yeah? Yeah, O and R at the end of all of them. But the middle is the part that changes, right? So what did you have in Spanish? Just an N. Portuguese? And H. And then Italian. GN. And they flip the E around to an I, right? So we're going to look at this. And then, even more interesting, let's get started into Spanish. So when you get an idea of Spanish, right, what do you think of? Ideas. Yes. Rodeo. Yeah, rodeo. Why rodeo? It's a pretty common thing, especially in Houston. So, of course, here you see bullfighting. That's something that's very endemic thing of Spain. You see Christopher Columbus, he was a Spanish explorer. You see all of these countries that are Spanish speaking. Why? Because, just like Christopher Columbus, the Spanish had many explorers, and they went across the oceans and spread their language. You have things like the guitar, you have dances, and you have soccer. There's also Spain over there. Someone want to take a guess about how many Spanish words there are in the dictionary? I need numbers. 20,000? Just a little less. Yes. 100,000. Well, considering there are 400-something thousand words in the dictionary, not a fourth of all the English words are Spanish. It's slightly less. It's actually 2,900 words in the dictionary that are Spanish. So around 3,000. Spanish is the official language in 21 countries across the world. That's quite a lot. And you have things like bullfighting, food, soccer, dances, like I said. So, Chihuahua. It's a cute little puppy. But, Chihuahua, right? CH. All the other words on the slide have CH at the beginning, right? Yeah. So, what does it sound like? It's pretty simple. Ch. So you have words like Chihuahua, right? So if you hear a ch, you'll spell it with a ch in Spanish because that's what this letter combination is. It's one of the very common sounds, and that's what I'll do at the beginning of each language, basically. So you have words like chaparral, right? Which means a dry, arid brush. You have gazpacho, which is a sort of soup. You have chayote, which is another vegetable. And you have chubasco, which is a severe squall of rain and wind. So, another letter combination. The LL. Who remembers what the Spanish flat circular bread is?
Tortilla.
Tortilla, good. How do you spell that?
Tortilla.
Tortilla, right? So, all of these words with LL. And how do you pronounce the LL? With a Y sound. That's why it says Y at the top. It's weird. So you have words like quesadilla, right? Who knows what queso is? Cheese, yes. And that's why quesadilla, right? You can see the cheese too. So you have words like pollera. You see the LL with a Y sound. You have blanquillo. Who remembers what beurre blanc meant in French? White sauce, brown butter. So blanc means white. Same thing over here. French, Spanish, sharing roots. So blanc means white, right? Then blanquillo is a white fish. It's like gray here, but it's white. Novillero is a type of bullfighter. And then gallinazo pottery. Now, on this slide, you also have letters that are red, right? The red letters, can you tell me what they are? You do hear them. So you say quesadilla, right? But someone says, so it's an S sound. And on these words, tell me something about the S sound. Yeah? Different letters, good. So quesadilla has an S, piloncillo has a C, right? And then gallinazo has a Z. So we'll talk about that. It's one of the interesting things. Sometimes you don't always have the same letter wherever you're going with the same sound. You also have, with the S sound, other words, and I'll talk about that too. But what's a common herb that you put on top of food? Cilantro, good. And how do you spell that? Cilantro, yes. Good. Wasabi, good attempt. So wasabi is actually Japanese, not Spanish. But it's a good word, W-A-S-A-B-I. However, with the LL sound, right, it's not always ya, like in tortilla. sometimes you can have an L sound, like alligator, right? So you have alligator, you have armadillo, like we were saying before. You have words like piccalilli, so it's like a combination of spices and sauces. You have a chinchilla, it's another cute little animal. You have words like cordillera, right? That's a mountain range. Do you have a question?
Is a chinchilla like a form of mouse?
It's related, so it's an animal that's kind of like a mouse. And then you have a flotilla. Tell me something interesting about the word flotilla. Yeah?
They're all boats.
They're all
Like
boats.
canoes.
Yeah?
What is the word float?
There is the sound float in it. So they've lost the A, how in English we have F-L-O-A-T, but it's a group of boats, and boats usually, hopefully, float. So the word cordillera, right? Can somebody guess what that word is related to? Yeah? Coordination? Close, not exactly. It's simpler than that. Much simpler. So, take out the ilera. What do you have? Cord. What does a rope look like? A cord. Sometimes you can put knots on it, right? And so if you look at the mountain range, like from Google Earth, it might look like you took a whole bunch of ropes and just put them on the ground, right? And that's kind of how cordillera was formed. So it does come from cord. And piccalilli. Oh, I could. So interesting thing about piccalilli, right? What other word does it sound like? Kind of. Pickle, right? And in this case, it actually does come from pickle. So that can help you kind of figure out the definition of piccalilli. It's a sort of pickle, not like the cucumber version, but like the pickled stuff version. And then sometimes you can have the LL, and it's a combination of the L sound and the Y sound. So you have words like banderilha. Can you even see that word? Banderilha, right? And then, yeah? I'm sorry? Okay. So, what is the person that has the banderilha called? Yeah?
Banderilliera.
Yes.
Sorry.
So the banderilliera, right? Okay, so what got added to the word?
Era.
E-R-O, right? So person, E-R-O. Does anyone remember in French what the ending was for a word that means a person that does something? I heard it, E-U-R, yes. Examples? Chauffeur, yeah? Yes, yeah. Auteur. So you have auteur, which is a person in the film industry. You have simpler words too, which is danseur, right? What does a danseur do? Dance. Yes, good. What about a, just think about it. So you have danseur, oh, what about a masseur? What does a masseur do?
Massage.
Massage, good. And then back to my example, voyage in massage. Yes. So the AGE ending is the ending for doing something. So just a quick recap of what we did in French, and that goes back into Spanish. You have banderilla and banderillero, because ERO for the person. You can have words like cuadrilla or tomatillo, both pronunciations. And what is it related to?
Tomato.
Tomato, yes, good. And you have naranjilla. So naranjilla is also related to orange, which in Spanish is naranja, right? And also, the ERO that we saw, like similar to French, right? We'll see that in Portuguese too when I get there. Question?
The quadrilla, by looking at the picture, the quad sound like it has two and stands for.
Right. So quad does sound like it has four, right? So cuatro means four. Another sound. Back to what I said was one of the most common Spanish words.
Jalapeno.
Yes, jalapeno. And what does the very beginning sound like? H, right? A H sound. So you have words like jalapeno. You have this one. Who's seen this in a grocery store before? Yes. It looks kind of like a potato, but it's like a fat potato. and it doesn't taste like a potato?
At all.
Yeah. So it's called a jicama, right? And you can cut it up and put it in salad and various things. And then you have this plant. So at first I thought this was called a jippy japa, and then I was like, wait, no, it's a hippie hoppa. So, someone say that.
Yeah.
Hippie hoppa, good. I'm gonna hear you guys. So hippie hoppa, it's a pretty fun word. Just remember that it's not spelled with an H, it's spelled with a J. So a hippie hoppa, the fiber from the hippie hoppa plant actually makes the Panama hats. You see? So that's a pretty cool use of the word. And then the faja, right? The faja, as you might expect, is a bright sash worn by a bullfighter. So going back to the novillero, spell that. N-O-V-I-L-L-E-R-O? Yes, good, okay. And then, another trick word for you guys to spell. It's actually not tricky if you look at the slide. Spell the word aparejo. Aparejo. It's a stuffed pack saddle made of canvas. I heard someone say it. Someone else? A. P. A. What's the next letter? Aparejo. R. And then E-J-O, right? So, simplest part of this word is the J, because you know it's going to be a sound in a J. Let's put that on the board. So, aparejo. A. P. A. R. E. J. O. Now, going back to the arrow, right? There's actually sometimes another ending that's pretty related to that. And then pulling from this word, there's another word, rejoneador. I can check what it means, but it's a person. So someone think about that word and try to tell me how you spell the word rejoneador. More hands. So a rejoneador is a mounted man in bullfighting, so he's on a horse. Yeah? Yes. So, rejoneador. R-E-J-O-N-E-A-D-O-R. Let's walk through this word. You have re, right? And I'll talk about that, but re is just R-E, open vowel system. So you don't need like an A-Y, right? Like rays of sunlight. You can just get R-E, and then you have an H sound, so R-E-J. Now you have rejon. Rejon is R-E-J-O-N. And then edo, right? What's the normal term for someone who does bullfighting?
Bullfighter.
Right, bullfighter. So, also called a matador, right? M-A-T-A-D-O-R. I'll put that here. So you can see matador, M-A-T-A-D-O-R, and rejoneador both have A-D-O-R at the end. Now, Spanish. You have the sound in Spanish. A capeador, another bullfighter is A. See, A-D-O-R, rejoneador, matador, right? Capeador. So sometimes the D sound doesn't sound like a D, it sounds like a the. Okay. Next word. This is a tricky word because someone tried to say the second word. Yeah? Yes. So, it's not actually a jitanado or a gitanado. It's not like agitation or just git. It's actually a hitanado. So the G is making a H sound here. And sometimes Spanish can throw you a curveball. You might think the H sound is a J, always. But it's actually not always a J. Sometimes, like in this word, it's a G. But it's related to, think about this. This is a dance, right? Non-flamenco heel work in dancing. What does it sound like you're doing when you're dancing? You're moving, right? I want you guys to be active. Tough me. So, you're moving. And if you're moving and you're like really excited, you might even think of describing that as being agitated, right? That's a pretty useful mnemonic to help you remember that agitanado has a G. It's like you're agitated when you're dancing. The next word, caudillo, another example of having an LL making the ilio sound, right? It's a military leader. And then rejoneador, like we did on the board before it miraculously disappeared. Rejoneador. So take away from this slide. The sound can be a D. Okay. Now, can someone try to spell the word cojita? A tossing of a bullfighter by a bull? It's when the bull says no and does a backflip. Well, bullfighter does. Cojito. Cojita, sorry. Yeah? Ah, very close. It's a tricky word, Yeah? Cojita. Use what we saw.
C-O-G-I-T-O.
Close. So cojita, right? Yeah? Fun.
C-O-G-I-D-A.
Good job. So cojita is C-O-G-I-D-A. Tricky because, first of all, the H sound is actually a G in this word, not a J. So instead of being C-O-J, it's C-O-G. And then the sound has a D, right? So instead of being like incognito, where you have a hard D sound and a T, you have cojita and a D-A. Okay? Forward. So, the O sound in Spanish. Oh, how wonderful. You guys don't like my puns? That makes me sad. Okay, so the word presidio, right? It's like president, because presidio, right? P-R-E-S-I-D, they're the same letters. And at the end you have an O, and it makes the wonderful O sound. Bolero, I missed this word at the District B when I was in 3rd grade. Bolero, right? The end of the word has an O sound, and it is spelled with an O. Junco, that's a bird. Tango, you guys have seen this, right? Or at least heard it. And then guiro. Have you guys seen it in music class? Yeah? Okay. I remember when we did music class, I'm pretty sure we had a guiro. Now. No? Oh, that's that. Another word. Churrasco. Someone try to spell churrasco. It's like barbecue. Yes, green. Oh, sorry. Yes, good. So churrasco is spelled C-H-U-R-R-A-S-C-O. And the only really tricky part is that it looks like churro, right?
Yeah.
Has anyone had a churro before? They're good, right? So it's like churro, and then it's churrasco. It's like you took a churro and dipped it in Tabasco. I don't recommend that. But it's spelled that way. And now, a slide full of words, but it's actually less confusing than it looks. So, over here at the bottom is the S sound that I mentioned. So, cilantro, right? And then you have hacienda. And then you have a sinkhole. They're quite dangerous, but easy to spell, once you know that the S sound can be spelled with a C. So unlike the word sinkhole itself, right? Cenote is spelled C-E-N-O-T-E. C-E-N-O-T-E. It's like you're seeing a note, and then you suddenly realize you're in this giant hole. And then you have bonacy, which is a fish. And you'll also watch a video of me spelling the word bonacy. That's great. And then up to the top, the K sound, ka, followed by a vowel. So you have A-O-U. What are the missing vowels? Test back to kindergarten. A-E-I-O-U, right? So we took the E and the I and put them down here, and the A-O and the O and the U over there. So, simple mnemonic. Q-U-I-E-T, quiet. Right? Why? Quiet. So, Q-U is how you spell a word that has I or E right after. So, cacique, you don't really hear it. It's like silent. But in coquina, you do hear it. You hear an E sound, right? And the E sound, in this case, is spelled with an I, rather than being like E-E, because one E will not make the E sound. That's not a long E, that's a short E. So a short E would be like this, excavation, that's a short E. And so there, you have an A sound, esca, right? Escabeche has C-A, not Q-U-A, C-A. Barracuda, you have a U sound, and that's a U. So barracuda is spelled with a CU. Cacomissile, right? Cacomissile has the A sound. How do you spell the A sound? A. It's pretty simple. And then So in this case, you might notice esca, caca, but it's actually more caco-missile. So sometimes you can hear it and sometimes you don't. So, who remembers the questions you can ask at a B? Spelling bee. Yes.
The language of origin.
Language of origin, which is important. Yeah.
And it can be used in a sentence, and you can ask them to repeat the word.
Important. You can ask them to repeat the word, right? And what is the first thing you should do when you hear a word? Repeat it back to the pronouncer. Why? So they know if you heard it correctly. So, if you heard that wrong, they can fix it for you. You can look at the other words too. Back at the top, you see the word quesadilla, right? Back to quiet, if you have an E, you have a QU. Conquistador, you have a QU and then an I. See, it all makes sense. It seems really confusing, but not anymore. Okay. And then you can finish up with some final words. Who knows what this fish is? Yeah? Yes, good. So it's a piranha. It's just called a caribe in this case. So it's like Caribbean minus a B and minus the AN. So it's just C-A-R-I-B-E. Azulejo, right? What word is that coming from? Blue. And in Spanish, blue is? Azul. Good. You have a lanero. You have the coquina that we mentioned, right? So, why is there a QU? Because it's before an E sound. And the E sound in this case is spelled with an I. You have a leoncito, which is kind of hard to see, at least from where I am. But it's a really funny looking monkey.
It looks like a lion.
Yeah, it is a lion, yes. So it's actually known as the lion monkey. And if you look it up on Google Images, you can actually see a really cute picture of a baby leoncito on the back of a baby tiger. And here you have the cacomissile. And now you get to watch the legendary videos of me spelling. They're a lot of fun, right? Alright. Oh, oops, sorry. Hold on. I need to let you hear.
Notice is this type of fish? The black grouper or a related marine food fish as the guy. Notice that's the language of origin. This word is from Spanish. Notice can I have the definition? Can I have the language of origin? This word is from Spanish. Notice can I have the word used in a sentence, please? The largest bonací ever caught weighed 114 pounds.
That's a lot.
Notice B-O-N-A-C-I. Bonací. That is correct.
Yay! Happy fun times watching me spell. Now I want to watch you guys spell too. So, just a quick survey. How many of you guys have ever done or wanted to do a spelling bee? Awesome, awesome. So, hopefully, after all of this, you'll find some newfound interest. First, an estimate of the number of words in the English dictionary that comes from Italian. Yes. 100,000? A little much. 1,000. A little under. Yeah? 10,000? About a quarter of that. So 2,500 words, approximately. They come from Italian, and they're in the dictionary. So, you think of pasta, right? You think of pizza. You think of music, you have theater, you have geographical words, all of this stuff. See, the Leaning Tower of, yes, pizza, and the Leaning Tower, not the Leaning Tower of Pizza, but the Leaning Tower of Pisa. You have the great astronomer Galileo Galilei, Leonardo da Vinci, and, ooh, fun. So, who knows who the inventor of the battery was? What is the unit of charge in a battery? Not charge, but yes, electromotive force, volts. Good. So Alessandro Volta was Italian. You have the dude that invented the radio. His name was Guglielmo Marconi. A lot of cool people that came from Italy. And in Spain, what did we have the bullfighters, right? So in Italy, which is also in Rome, what is the, not bullfighters, but human fighters that we had? The Colosseum gladiators, yes, good. So, similar ideas, vastly different principles, but we get words from there, and that's important. Italian, just like the word pizza, right? Which is one of the things you think of when you hear Italy, apart from like Alfredo sauce. But the ZZ makes the TS sound. So it's actually not pizza, it's pizza, right? And so just like that, you have an open square, a piazza, not a piazza. You have, someone say this one, bragozza, yes, good. You have this dude chilling on a rock, a bozzetto. A bozzetto is like a clay version of a sculpture before you actually make the giant thing out of stone. Yeah? Yes, it is. So piazza is like a plaza. You have a word tazza over here, which is like a silver goblet sort of thing. And then you have some other words. Yes, you have cheese words. Okay, fun word, fun word. Someone try to spell the word pavonazzo. Think about this, and then come up with the spelling for the word pavonazzo. Yes. Very close. So pavonazzo is actually spelled P-A-V-O. A-V-O-N-A-Z-Z-O. And even more interesting. So the genus name and the Latin word that means related to peacocks is pavonine. P-A-V-O-N-I-N-E. Does anyone notice anything? Tell me what it is. Pavon. Yes, good. Other end. So pavon is exactly the same, going back to the fact that these are languages that came from Latin. Now, so, all of these words, whenever you hear a t sound in Italian, it's most probably ZZ. Now, like I said, throwing words at you, but it's not confusing. So, words on the left. The blue letter. What is the blue letter? G. And why is the letter blue? Yes, good. So it is a silent G. Has anyone had gnocchi before? Yeah, it's like a pasta. And so gnocchi, you don't say gnocchi, right? Or gnocchi. It's gnocchi. So the G is silent there, just like the next pasta, as you might guess, because Italian. So it's, someone say this. Yes. So tagliatelle. So tagliatelle. That's the second pasta. Silent G. Intaglio, an engraving in stone. If anyone needs a refresher on how to read the pronunciation symbols, it's pretty important to be able to read these because it can tell you exactly how to pronounce a word. So you don't be like me and say bardiglio, because it's actually bardilio. So you can go onto YouTube and watch my workshop from last summer, and I go all the way through the process of reading these. It's pretty useful. So, zabaglioni, right? A type of violins. Challenge word. That's not on here. Oh, I was spoiled. It is. Amazing. But a type of violins called the guadagnini. Right? Yeah?
Is the conciliary, is that like conciliary?
Is which one? It's related to consulate. Yeah. So, good observation. See this word? Conciliare? And see this word? Counselor, right? They sound at least partially similar. That's because they're related. So once you know that conciliare means counselor, you already have the R, the L, and the C and the N. Instead of C-O-U-N, you have C-O-N. And then you have the silent G that interposes itself in here. And then, just like back in Signor, right? You had S-E-N in Spanish, and then S-I-G-N in Italian, right? Just like that, instead of S-E-L, you have S-I-G-L. So the E kind of turns into an I some of the time. We had the silent G in that green slide, G for green. And here we have a GN sound. It's great. So a GN, just like gnocchi, makes the NY sound. Yeah, question?
Why
Good question. So, why is Melmignat spelled that way and sounds that way when it's just a black widow? And the reason is manifold. Step 1, spelling bee. They won't ask you black widow because you know black widow. They may as well ask you Melmignat. Step 2, it's the Italian word for a related spider, a small black venomous spider of southern Europe having 13 small red spots on the abdomen. So slightly different from a black widow. And it's just a pretty cool word to look at, right? Although it might not be a cool insect, arachnid to look at. So, let's move on to the right and look at bolognese instead. Pasta, more pasta, right? So just like all of these, GN, and what other word is this like? Yes, bologna, right? Or, as it's otherwise spelled, B-O-L-O, someone fill in? G-N-A, Bologna. Ow. So, bolognese, and then lasagna, the epic lasagna. And you have also this word, pignolia. So a pignolia is pine nuts. Well, this is the stuff that comes off of the pine cone. And it's relatively expensive if you try to buy it at the store, but it's used in food. And this is agnolotti. It looks kind of like ravioli, but it's slightly different. And you have signorina, right? Can someone tell me the counterpart of signorina in Spanish? Yeah. Señora or señorita, right? So, interesting thing. Señorita had ITA at the end, right? Ida. Over here, it turned into ina in Italian. So you have signorina. And someone tell me how to spell señorita. S-E-N-O-R-I-T-A, right? And someone tell me how to spell signorina. You can just read it off. So, signorina. You can look at these and see the differences. It's similar, but ever so slightly different.
Pretty much just the I and the G changed into E.
Yep, pretty much. So, look at this word, segno, right? This is something you'd see on a piece of sheet music. What do you think that word means? Yes, I heard it. Yeah? Not the musical definition. I've forgotten the musical definition. But the literal definition is sign. It's great. Segno, sign, right? Who the fuck? Anyway, cognoscenti. Another word that we did in French. What was that word? Someone who has refined tastes. Yeah?
Connoisseur.
Connoisseur. Good. Good job. And this is the Italian counterpart, cognoscenti. Tricky word. So, I've seen this in a beat firsthand. Someone got out on the word cognoscenti because, contrary to this word that has S-C-E-N-T-E at the end, if you have a plural in Italian, it adopts the letter I at the end, instead of, say, the singular noun being E. So the plural of cognoscenti is actually C-O-G-N-O-S-C-E-N-T-I. Okay? Good tip to note. And speaking of notes, I heard some groans at my puns this time. So, all of these words interposed between bars of music, you have a whole bunch of musically inclined words. Oh my goodness. So, passacaglia, right? Going back to the thing about the silent G, right? G for green. And then you have a good thing to notice on this word. Someone tell me what you notice in all of the blue stuff.
They're all double.
They're all doubles. Good. Yes, they're sounds. And you might notice a few exceptions at the very bottom. So, in the middle of the page is the word glissando, right? Does anyone happen to know what the word glissando means? Yeah?
On the piano, so we slide it up down.
Yes. So sliding. Glissando is like sliding backwards, basically. And so it's like gliding, almost. So glissando, it's smooth. The SS is an S sound. But then over here you have strisciando. And the sh sound, just like sciolto, became an SC. So just an idea of what these words mean. So a passacaglia is an Italian dance tune. allargando means becoming gradually broader with the same volume. Complicated musical stuff. You have affettuoso. Affectuoso. Over there. What word is it like? Affected, yes. So affettuoso means in a manner that is affected. Affettuoso. Or affection, also. You have appassionato. What word does that look like? Passion, yes. So the SS is already doubled in passion. That's great. You just got to remember to add another P, APP. That also happens because of what's known as close. So I don't think that one is as common, that is necessary to be commonly confused. But what's known as, I'm trying to remember what it is. Not consolidation, but basically, the Latin root ad, means to, as in like to do something, or the general word to. So you had ad, and you had passion, right? So you added these two together. Add, not add, the other ad. So you had ad, and you had passion, and you had auto. So auto is like a way of doing something, similar to age in French, but not exactly. So you had ad and you had passion, and over time, instead of saying ad passionado, which is just troublesome in itself, how should I play this? Ad passionado, right? You can instead say appassionato. The ad became app over time, and it became a double consonant, which you see a lot in Italian. That's kind of like sometimes how this is formed, which is slightly confusing, but it does make sense. Over there in leggermente, you have a j sound, like the z sound in Italian. You have semplice. This is C that makes the ch sound. So it's one of the more exception type words. And then back in the middle, you have murmurando. What do you think the definition of that word is? Murmur, yes. Just like the English word murmur with a M-U-R, right? In Italian, it's M-O-R-M-O-R. So, you guys know murmuring. Oh, that's a horrible one. Murmuring, right? It's like if you're whispering or barely saying words. Back to sciolto, right? On the previous slide, SC made the sh sound. And you can see that in words like crescendo. You guys know crescendo, right? That's one of the stuff you do in music class, hopefully. Unless they haven't done that. Oh, that's sad. But anyway, you have an instrument, the colacione, right? And that is interesting because this instrument, right, what does it look like? A violin or guitar, all these stringed instruments. I'm sorry? It looks kind of like a banjo, right? But also, colacione, it comes from basically gourd, which is a calash. So because long time ago, you had like a gourd and then strings, and you made the gourd into a musical instrument. That's kind of where the word comes from. But anyway, fascism, right? Fascism has a sh, that's an SC. But when you get to words like pistachio, it has a CH. So this is what kind of I meant by throwing the words at you. You can look at this, right side has CH for the sh. We have barouche and pistachio. Left side over here has SC. Sometimes there's an explanation, sometimes there isn't. Some of the words like pistachio, you just have to go to the grocery store and see it. Which is an excuse to wander around the grocery store with adult supervision and go around to the pistachio and read the label. It's great, lots of fun. Anyway, you have words like zucchetto, right? What do you notice? Zucchini. Good. How do you spell zucchini? Z-U-C-C-H-I-N-I. I think that's the most together I've heard anyone ever talk this evening. Simultaneously. What do you notice here? Zucchetto. Zucchini, right? Z-U-C-C-H. C-C-H for the k sound. Bucero. Yeah?
Zucchini is Spanish, right?
It comes from back in Italian. So it's not just Spanish. I'm not sure if it has Spanish, I can check. But you can look at zucchetto and bucero and see that they both have the CCH. So zucchini is Italian, just Italian. You have fun word over here, Grenache. That's tricky because just like baruch and pistachio, it has a CH. You have piccolo. Have you guys heard or seen a piccolo before? Yeah? It's like a very like thin flute. It's like very high pitched. So that is a k sound with a CC. But a CC can also be a ch sound, like boccaccio. So C for the k sound, CC for the k sound. CC for the ch sound, C for the ch sound, caciocavallo. Over here you have the k sound with two C's. All of this time we're basically going around in C and CC, right? The CCH doesn't make the ch sound, neither does the SC, that makes a sh sound. And then CCH doesn't make a sh sound. A few things to take away. It's like drawing lines back and forth. Other words. Somebody spell the word prosciutto. Two or three people spelled it correctly. So, over here, prosciutto. How? Prosciutto. Prosciutto. Ow. Now, let's go back and see another word. Like I said before, cognoscenti. Can someone try to spell the word cognoscenti? In this case, it means people of high taste, refined taste. Yes. Ah, close. People. People means more than one person.
I?
Yes, good. So, cognoscenti. Why? Because plural. Tricky, and that's why you ask for the part of speech, right? So, Anna B. Can I have the part of speech? Yes, this is a noun plural. Plural means more than one. And so you have I instead of E. And I'll look at some more Italian words before we finish up Italian. You have the, here's Mona Lisa. You have risorgimento. What does risorgimento, what do you think it means? Renaissance. And why does it mean Renaissance? Good. So, more roots. This is kind of where we do see roots in the form of like entire words that got transformed. So, risorgimento, right? The word resurgence. Yeah? If someone's like coming back or something is coming back, it's a resurgence. So, resurgence, let's write that over here. R-E-S-U-R-G-E-N-C-E, right? Just resurgence. Risorgimento, like in a manner of being resurgent. And you said Renaissance, right? What does Renaissance mean? Rebirth, right? Quite literally, rebirth. So all of them have the root re in them, but re means again. And then N-A-I-S-S-A-N-C-E. So N-A-I-S-S is a word part that means being born. So nascent, just N-A-I-S-S-A-N-T means being born, or like being created anew, like an idea. And that also became Renaissance, which is related to the word risorgimento. You have the eustachian too. Have you guys heard of that before?
Yes.
Yes, it's in your ear. So the eustachian too has a sh sound, the ch, right? Panettone. It's like this holiday bread. If you ever go to like World Market, you see like carts full of it. It's like boxes. Cinquecento. And then quattrocento. So someone mentioned here that quattro meant four, right? Interestingly enough, that is 15th century artwork. Cinquecento, on the other hand, means 16th century artwork. Cinco means five. They were like 1100 years off for some reason. But cento is related to, what is the word for 100 years? Century, yes. What is the 100th unit of money? A cent. 1 cent, 100 cents in a dollar, right? Cent is related to, cento is related to the word century. They're all connected, it's amazing. So, cent, right? Also known as that, or the penny, which I can just draw as a coin. That's not an O, that's a coin. You have century, which is like a calendar, my wonderful depiction of a calendar. It's wonderful. And then you have this, cinquecento. Chess, yes, good. And then fianchetto is a chess move. That's a k sound. spelled with a CH. But you always know that the T is doubled because double consonants. Just like cuatro, but unlike achacatura. Achacatura is like you're attacking the notes. But that is a word in itself. Ataka. How do you spell ataka? CCA. So, A-T-T-A-C-C-A. If you're playing a piece of music, ataka, how are you playing it? You're like attacking it. You're like violently, yes. And you have food, just like in French, cacciatore. It's a way of cooking. And now, Portuguese. Famous explorers. Portugal actually created one of the first navigation schools for sailors. And they ended up starting the Age of Exploration, in which they were the first to create a new class of ship that had notably triangular sails, like this one at the back, that enabled them to go faster than their enemies. And so they ended up with words like the caravel. The caravel was a light sailing ship developed by the Portuguese in the late 1400s, used for the next 300 years. Must have been a pretty good ship to use for 300 years. A kind of ship, not one ship, that would be amazing. But it was fast, right? And so what the Portuguese did is they dominated the trade market around the coast of Africa into the Eastern Hemisphere. And the Spanish, back in Spanish, were like, oh no, we can't go over there anymore. So let's go the other way. And that's how they came over to places like America. And also, you might notice in South America, back if we go to the very first slide, which I'm not going to, but remember the entire west coast of South America was Spanish speaking, right? We have Brazil over on the right side that speaks Portuguese, right? That's because they had they had conquerors, right, going around and claiming land, and there was a dispute, Spain and Portugal, and they're like, we want land, and we don't know where we're going to split it up. So they went to the Pope, and the Pope was like, let's draw a line over here, guys, and so you guys are going to have this land, and you guys are going to have this land. And so one side was assigned to Portugal, and one side was assigned to Spain. And initially they were like, hey, no fair, you got way more than me. Until they realized they hadn't discovered a whole bunch of land. And they actually had way more land than they ever thought they did. Anyway, back to the story. That's how we have Portuguese, right? And a whole bunch of ship words. And you have famous explorers like Vasco da Gama and Magellan, who was the first guy to circumnavigate the globe. A little bit of history crash course with John Green over. And now we can go into some words. Okay, so a lot of trees and fruits and vines. Has anyone seen these trees? They're really pretty. And if you go to California or someplace, in some places they're all over the place. It's really pretty. So this is called a jacaranda. It sounds confusing, but it's actually fairly straightforward. J for the ja, A for the A for the A for the A. Jacaranda. Back up there, cabasa. The A sound is just an A. The ka is a C. One thing about Portuguese. Someone guess how many words there are in the dictionary that come from Portuguese? Yes. 2,900. Actually fewer. Yes.
Like 2,000?
Not 2,000. Less than that. So it's actually around 600 words. Nice. So around 600 words that come from Portuguese, right? And they're all slightly peculiar because they're quite related to Spanish, but they were like, let's change these letters without any reason. And so, you'll see what I'm talking about. Avocado, right? Also known as the avocado. If you are in an area that has Spanish influence, avocado equals avocado. The V turned into a B, the cado turned into a cati, and you end up with avocado. Over there, like I was saying, ships, right? Jangada is a ship. Carnava, if you've ever seen in a label, sometimes you see in candies, especially the brightly colored ones, they have carnava wax, and it's like a coating they put on the outside. It comes from that sort of a palm looking thing. You can also see it in car wax. You have Caatinga, which doesn't look like much, but it's actually a stunted, rather sparse forest. The point being that it's sparse, so not much. But it's called, very interestingly, anyone notice anything about these two words? Yes, both about double A's. It's all about noticing patterns in all of these workshops. The very cool thing is, up at the very top, right, A, or AA, there are only two words in the entire dictionary that come from Portuguese and have the letters AA for A, Caatinga, and copy. Now you know exactly how to spell the A sound, the A sound in Portuguese. Unless it's either one of these two words, it's an A. Done. Amazing. Okay, great. So you have copy, Caatinga, and then some other words that have A's. Now, what if it's instead of an A sound, an A sound, like A? Then you have either E or, interestingly, EI. So in Spanish, you would just have been done with like an E sound or an I sound. A letter, not the sound. A, right? A would be E. But in Portuguese, you have EI sometimes, like barbeiro, like this not usually appealing insect, right? It's called a black, red spotted cone nose bug because the nose looks like a cone. That's what they'll tell you in the definition. But you should know that it's spelled B-E-I-R-O. Anything interesting else that you know about these two words, barbeiro and seringueiro? Yes, also apart from the EI? Think about it, barbeiro. Yeah?
E-I-R-O.
Yes.
The
The
roo sound?
oo sound, yes, good. So, it's spelled with an O, but I'm saying it like an oo, right? What's up with that? That's pretty weird. And that's one of the weird things about Portuguese. When you have the oo sound, there's only one word in the dictionary that's spelled with an O-O for oo, and it's up on the slide. But the rest of it is all spelled with an O. Back over here, capoeira, right? Has anyone heard of this? Yeah. So capoeira is like the flying, jumping martial arts. Sometimes they do it on trampolines. It's pretty cool. It's also C-A-P-O-E-I-R-A because A, ra. So the ra is just an A. Ka is just an A. Over here, the A sound. Well, lots of A's. So this is an A and this is an A, right? A for E-I. You have a berimbau, which is there with an E instead of an E-I. It's interesting. So there you have a kalema, which is a kind of surf. And then there's another interesting word, fazendeiro, a Brazilian planter or cattleman. Someone try to spell it. Think about it. Fazendeiro. I'll give you a second. Okay, so hands down. No. Hands up. Okay, go. Fazendeiro. Yeah. Close. So, Portuguese, right? Consonant sounds like z, fazendeiro, z. They're just pretty simple. How would you usually spell a z? Z. And that's what the answer is in this case. So, Z, right? Fazendeiro. Now, one more guess for fazendeiro? Yeah?
F-A-Z-E-I-N-D-E-R-O.
Close. So it's actually F-A-Z-E-N-D-E-I-R-O. Okay? So, let's break this down. Fazendeiro, right? Faz, the A sound is an A. Faz, fazen, right? En. And then you have a D sound, fazendeiro. The A, tricky part here is an EI, not just an E. And then, the oo sound, the famous oo sound. This is not the one word that has an OO. I'll get to that. So this just has an O for the oo sound. Fazendeiro. And now you're done with the whole word, and the only tricky part was the A, with an EI. Fazendeiro. And this brings me back to, what was the root that I showed that was in French and in Spanish? And I said I'd get to it in Portuguese. For someone who does something, aj is the verb, so like doing something, but the someone who does something. EUR, yes, good. So, EUR in French, so French, EUR. What was it in Spanish? ERO. And in Portuguese, I said it's like Spanish, but not. EIRO in Portuguese was the same thing as Spanish ERO. It's great. So you have words like fazendeiro, right? Capoeira is slightly related to that, but you have seringueiro. So a seringueiro is a Brazilian rubber gatherer. A fazendeiro is a planter or cattleman. They're all people that do things. And remember how Mr. was spelled in Portuguese? Senor. How is senor spelled in Portuguese? Yeah?
S-I-G-N.
That was Italian.
S-I-A-S-E-A-S.
Yeah?
S-E-N-H-O-R.
Yes, good. So senor in Portuguese was S-E-N-H-O-R. That is Portuguese, my friend. Yeah, amigo. Well, it's not Portuguese, it's Spanish. So, Portuguese has an H, right? You have words like farinha, cavaquinho. All of them have the ñ sound with an NH. Memory time. What was the ñ sound in Italian? GN. Which is why you have a GN in senor also, because you have the ñ sound. But in Portuguese, the ñ sound is with an NH. You have modinha. It's an art song. You have Ainu, a tropical disease. And, tricky word. Someone try to spell the word cavaquinho. Yeah. Close. So, you might have noticed that was a trick question because it's up there. Amazing. So, cavaquinho is a musical instrument. Right there. It's like a guitar basically, but it's a cavaquinho. Now, another interesting thing about Portuguese, right? The j sound. The j sound is spelled with a J. Like this. Feijoada. Just like Spanish, the D sound, the D letter can make a the sound. So you have feijoada instead of feijoada. Bring me some wada. Not what this is. So feijoada, it's like a bean stew, right? F-E-I-J-O. So fe, the A sound is an E-I in this case. The j is a J. The U is an O. And then ada, the A's are both A's. And in the middle, you have a the. So let me show you the breakup on the board. So F-E-I-J-O-A-D-A, right? This sounds like F-A-Y-Z-H-O-O, the, right? This is like the phonetic dictionary.com pronunciation, not the official Merriam-Webster pronunciation. You have fe. Like I said, F is just F. The A sound is an E-I. The j sound is a J. The U is an O. The A is an A. The is a D. And then feijoada, right? A at the end. It's pretty simple. It just looks really complicated, right? Yeah, no. If no, then good. So, tricky word. Someone try spelling inaja. So inaja means a tall Brazilian palm tree. Inaja. Yeah.
I-N-E-J-A.
Close. So, inaja, right? You can actually sound it out. It's just that the letters aren't spelled the way they sound. So when you do sound it out, just remember to substitute the sounds with the correct letters. Inaja, yeah.
I-N-E-I-J-A.
So, the EI would be for an A sound, right? You don't hear in Asia, you say inaja. So inaja is actually just I-N-A-J-A. You have in, which is just in, like in the house, in. Which is an A. A ja. Ja for a J. A J. And then inaja. The final sound is just an A. It's pretty straightforward if you know what to look for. And that's what we're doing. So, juvia, right? It's a Brazil nut. Don't feed them to dogs. Juvia is spelled with a J. Uvia. The rest of it is just uvia. Frajo. So F-R-A-E-I for the A sound, and then J for the J sound. The sh sound. It's like a leopard, but not. So this is the shibiguazu. Shibiguazu, barasha. Both of them have CH, right? For the sh sound. But over here, abakashi has an X. And then over here, mashisha, a ballroom dance, has double X's. Kaishinya, a box rattle, so it's like a shaky thing, has an X. Also, another thing in the word kaishinya that I talked about. What was the letter combination? Yeah? Yes, good. So, NH for the nya sound, right? Kaishinya. So if you hear kaishinya, you have a ka, which is a CA, E, which is an I, sh, which is an X. Kaishinya, another E sound, which is another I, and the nya, which is an NH. And then an osa, which is an A. So you can actually sound it out if you just know what letters to substitute instead of the ones that you hear. Same thing with barasha and shibiguazu, if you just happen to know that they're CHs. And the U sound. Back from all the sparse O words. Now you have a whole bunch of them together. With the one exception, that is OO, the Gen 2 penguin. That's from Portuguese, but it's actually G-E-N-G-O-O. And you have some occasional words like viúva that has a U, but those are few and far between. Words like fado, right? You might hear fado and think, I have no clue how to spell this. But just remember, F is just straightforward F. You have an a the, and an U. How do you spell a? A, good. How do you spell the? D. And then an U. Yes, good. And you're done with the word. It's 4 letters. It's so complicated but so simple. And right. And if it was English, it would be fado, right? But it's not. It's retained its Portuguese heritage, which makes it such a good word. And then you have words like botu, right? This is a type of Amazon River dolphin. It's actually kind of pink. It's really cool. But botu, the end of it is an O. The middle is interesting. So it's B-O-U. And that's a tricky word. That's the part that actually makes it a tricky word, is the B-O-U. And in modern usage, they actually added an entry in an online dictionary that made it just B-O-T-O, because that's how it's used a lot. But that's not the one in the official dictionary. The official dictionary is the 2003 version of the Merriam-Webster's dictionary, the thing that's this big on paper. And that's what you go by, so B-O-U-T-O. You have words like shukayu, which is another type of maraca. You have both of the U's with O's, and the sh is a CH, right? And so, that concludes Portuguese. Okay? So just finishing up with spelling, all the questions that you should ask, and some final tips. But all of this we've done before. So, right before I let you guys go, one final request. If all of the spellers could come on up for a group picture, that'd be great. Does somebody want to guess how many words we have in the dictionary from Dutch? Yes.
1500.
Oh, you're very close. You're very close.